everyone. This is Marsha Williams Cromer welcoming you to the Rancher in Stilettos presents Cocktails and Conversations. Welcome to our fourth episode. I'm so thrilled, so thrilled. And I've got guests today that just are so near and dear to my heart. First of all, I would like to introduce Candace Rodgers. Candace is an influencer and a model here in the Dallas, Texas area. And we are joined by the one, the only, and legendary Emma Rodgers, former owner of Black Images Book Bazaar in Dallas, Texas. And she is a legend in the world. We absolutely adore her and so happy to have her join us. So today, let's say cheers to the Rancher in Stilettos ladies.
Yes.
It's so good to have you guys here with me.
Well, thank you. And we're glad to be here now that book number 3 is out. We're just so excited about it. And I have a ton of questions for you.
Oh my God, questions. Okay, that would be Emma.
Marsha was supposed to interview us.
Well, technically, no, technically this is conversation.
Okay, okay.
And she wants to know, and she's read all 3 books, so we're good. It's all good. We're just
We're gonna have a conversation about the Rancher in
that's
Stilettos.
right. That's right. I'm so excited. First of all, just traveling around and being able to share this book with folks. It started out just as my COVID baby, and now I've got triplets. So
Wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you. Finally a mama. Even though I do claim Candace as my child, as you know.
Yes, mother too.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So Emma, let's start with you. What's going on? Talk to me about your love of the Rancher in Stilettos.
Well, I really like it because it's about friendship. But I really like it because these women all have good careers.
Mm-hmm.
They are not dependent on seeing themselves through a man or through their children.
Mm-hmm.
And they all are independent. And I like the relationships. And like in all friendships, you have good times and you have trying times. You have times when your friendship is challenged. And we see this in this book. And then I love the men. Zaid has so many options, and I think that's just wonderful. A girl needs options.
Exactly. Zaid is our kind of girl.
Absolutely. And I like the 3 men and how she balances it. And then I like the sidebar about Nash and Lawana. I like those dynamics as well. So it's, well, and then all the men in the traveling the world and
it does have a way of taking you out of the mundane.
And it covers a variety of things. Charmaine and her escapades.
Okay. Everybody loves Charmaine. Yes.
Yeah, she's something else. So I really like it. And there was one line about the wedding, something that happened at the wedding. And your wedding planner said that, something always comes up. And it reminded me when I got married, I was late to my wedding because one of my bridesmaids' grandmother was ill and they had been to see her. And so our wedding was delayed. So, those things that, it's
life
just so
happens.
Life happens.
Yeah.
And you gave a number of examples of that.
Okay. What do you think about the way she does kind of the pros and cons of relationships in the books? As she's looking at deciding who would be the best match for her, she kind of does a checklist of who's the good guy, who's pros and cons. And Corey usually comes up on top, but as we know, things don't always turn out the way you would expect.
Well, first she started out with the first Blaine, and then Corey, and then now this time we have a new man, Carmelo. And I like what they all bring to the table, especially in the business sense, with Corey being able to connect her with so many business people in order to finance her business and the other connections and to get her friend out of jail. He's just so well connected.
He is. He really, and Who would not love that?
Right.
And I mean, that's kind of like you, Emma, you know, you're kind of like that in real life. And I think Candace is kind of baby like that. It's like if somebody has a problem, you guys kind of figure out a way to rise to the occasion and help them get those problems solved. So, you know, but to see someone at that level where you can literally call, you know, the DA of the county,
Right.
and navigate getting somebody who was technically guilty, you know, out of jail.
Yeah, so. And you know, and we've all had experiences where we've had to get people out of jail. I know I have.
Yep.
And Candace has.
Yep.
So it's just really realistic.
Yeah, I agree.
And then with the two guys, Corey is such an international person, and then Carmelo is as well.
Yeah.
Both those guys bring a lot to the table.
Yeah, and I feel like if it was up to Zayd, she would take the best parts of all of them and just be with whoever she wanted to on what day she wanted to be with them.
Right.
You know, because I look at Zayd as like this beautiful butterfly that has a very free spirit. And honestly, she really doesn't want to be tied down to any of them.
Right. Because everybody's got, you know, their flaws. And I do feel that there's love there, you know,
for sure.
But like you're saying, is that enough to carry us through a long-term relationship? And she's already been divorced. So she brings that, you know, kind of baggage along with her, and she doesn't want to make that same mistake again.
Hold on a second.
Oh, well, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So Zayd is the stalwart of her group, of the Dreamers. And she wants them to step up to the plate, and they're not. And so she has to make the hard decision to have that conversation with them. And because they're all invested in the business, but they just won't step up to the plate. So you make the hard decision to buy them out. Now, let me ask you, did Corey help you with that financing to buy them out?
Right. That was a lot of money.
That was,
Okay, so remember, this business has been growing leaps and bounds. So she had the capital. However, in being completely frustrated, and these are her absolute best friends, what he did was to just kind of make it real for her. They had actually had that conversation earlier. In their initial meeting when he was looking at being an investor, he basically says, I've never seen this work, you know, where you could have this many people involved and it be successful. And she was able to present an argument that he went along with, plus the fact that he was crazy about her. He'd pretty much do anything. So I think that basically when she made that decision, or he helped her make that decision, it was just everything coming to fruition. And that choice, while she heard it before, she knew at the point we're into the third book and things are really starting to fall apart in terms of keeping things together. You know, one of her managers, like, you know, really tripping, and she can't trust her anymore. And so she's really kind of stuck by herself out there. And she realizes, you know, this isn't going to work. And the hardest decision, of course, with these being her sisters, is that, you know, I've got to figure out a way to buy him out, which worked out pretty well for her. I think everybody was happy. And in fairness, all of them joined basically because they saw it as, they believed in her and they saw it as a great opportunity.
Right.
But she knew up front that they really didn't have the bandwidth.
And one of them told you in the beginning.
Yeah, they didn't have the bandwidth. And it's also one of those things where, you know, all my friends are in this. I don't want to be left out. You know, I want to
get on the bandwagon.
Exactly. So, and to your point, I think she was able, at the point he mentioned it the second time, to receive that information.
And also Carmelo kind of alluded to it when he met you. He said, you're basically running it yourself.
Yes.
So all that, you know, kind of validated what each man had to say about it.
So one of the characters that I wanted to talk about is the character Starla.
Ooh.
That was a switch up, right?
Yeah, Starla was felt like she was running the company, and you had hired her to do certain things, and I can't understand why she felt like, well, I'm really running this and I can take over any day. And then the negative things she said about you and the other women. So, and then the thing about want to make out with her man. But some of that was chatter. But I'm glad that you nipped that in the bud. But the thing I was concerned about when you said, well, I'll just call another temp agency and get somebody, but that's a lot of turnover and that's a lot of training.
Right, exactly.
And you didn't really have the time. Zayd, I'm sorry, didn't really
Hello, everyone. They're talking about Zayd, not Marsha.
Zayd didn't really have the time to do all of that training. So, but it's interesting because it is always like those people that are closest to you that will stab you in the back.
Well, they have the opportunity to do it.
Right. And that's not uncommon because my friend Joy Wallace had a business and she had an employee like this. So this is so realistic.
It is very realistic.
Right. And I think also by the time we get to this last book where all of this stuff starts to bubble up, if you will, it's real life. At the first book, Zayd was just, excited, new business, new love, all this. Second book, she's trying to decide, if this is the right guy or not. I do love him, I don't love him, whatever. And by the third book, she's been with him long enough that she is seeing things in him that are manipulative.
Yes.
That are entitled.
Yes, he tries to throw money at all the situations.
Yes. And so she is starting to feel like there's a place where all of her relationships except Nash are falling apart. And of course, Nash, my heart in the story, is definitely there for her. But she still has to figure this stuff out on her own. And I think over the arc of the series, she finally gets to a point where she has to make some super tough choices. Parting ways with her friends in the business, not in their lives, but in the business. And then deciding if Lane is back, the original guy, if he's back just because he's sick now, so, and she doesn't have the confidence based on their history and a lot of hurt there, to let him have another chance. And he's actually been a pretty good friend,
Well, one thing you say about both of them, you said Corey's insecurity, like when he was looking through her cell phone, looking at the calls she was making, and then you said Lane's inability to meet me where I am mentally. So what was the dynamic there that you didn't think he was able to meet you mentally?
I think, and again, she means Zayd, not Marsha.
Okay. I'm sorry, I can't help it.
It's okay. I think she's been supportive of Lane throughout their entire relationship. People have asked, what is the deal with him? Why, he's not the one for you. Even her friends think he's just a player. But they went through a life-altering event that, makes them family on some level, and that event it wasn't that she didn't love him. She did, but they made a decision together that altered the course of her life. And I think at that point,
and that decision wouldn't have been made because he had an opportunity and he pursued that opportunity. And then the life-changing event occurred.
And I think that it was also interesting that he then reminds her as she's trying to make this decision that basically you encouraged me. I made a decision based on you encouraging me to do this or to move on in my career. But he really was doing what he wanted to do, and she knew him well enough to know you don't try to keep him home if that's, if he's got this opportunity.
And all three of your men have an international opportunity. Lane goes and works somewhere in France, I think. And then Corey is an international man. And then Carmelo was raised by his grandparents in France. So all your men have an international connection, live there, work there, done that.
Imagine
all of
that.
Zayd's men.
All of Zayd's men.
That's okay. That's okay. And we're not editing this out, folks. No, you will have to know that Emma's confusing me with my character, my main character.
Forgive me.
But anyway, so let's talk about, as you started out with relationships, the dreamers. How do you guys, what's your reaction to the dreamers, the times that you've seen them together? How do you, when you're reading this book, how do you feel about their friendship? And is it something that resonates with you?
I feel like Zayd is the leader of the pack, and the dreamers really look up to her and admire her. And I feel like Zayd is the glue to their friendship, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know, they'd be like lost sheep without Zayd there.
Well, now remember, Zayd's been in New York for years and years. She wasn't around them. They were still managing to, be okay, have a friendship, travel back and forth to visit each other.
Sure.
But I do feel like Zayd is definitely alpha.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's important to have friends that are doing a little bit better than you are. And Zayd is that friend in that friendship circle. And I think it helps them to step up a little bit. And then I also see a little bit of jealousy in Charmaine because she wants to have a rich white man like you have, but
like Zayd has.
I'm sorry, like Zayd.
We are not. You know what? We are not cutting this. We are not cutting this
in real life.
Okay. No, we are not. Yes.
But like Zayd's was love. There was a true connection. Who knows what Charmaine was giving kind of sugar daddy vibes more so. So it's very interesting. It's like sisters. Y'all are all, the dreamers are like sisters.
Right. Different personalities. But at the core, the love is real.
Love is so real.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I feel that, Zayd has to own some of that too, because she, in terms of friction, she comes up with these ideas and, everybody goes along with it. But then the work starts and, it starts to get hard. And now she's disappointed because everybody's not on the same page.
And that's a problem with Zayd. She needs to farm some of it out. Some of this can be farmed out, but it's because she knows she wants it done right. She wants it done like a certain way. And they're not stepping up to the plate. But I think that she could kind of pull them into it a little bit more.
I agree.
And so, but I'd like to talk about the tension between Zayd and Charmaine.
Yeah.
So what is it with Charmaine? She admires her. She likes what she has. She tries to replicate everything she has. And then when she does meet Poindexter, she's not sure. She's got a sugar daddy. I mean, and he's a real good sugar daddy. But I think Zayd tells her she's going to have to make a decision. Does she want this sugar daddy or not? She's got to make that decision.
So, as you said, I think there's some, Zayd is setting the standard on some level, but what she was trying to get across to Charmaine in their big fight is, I'm in a relationship with this person.
That's right.
I'm getting ready to marry this person. What we have, we'll have together. And I think Charmaine just saw it as, well, if that's working for Zayd, maybe it'll work for me. And she, of all people, knew that Zayd wasn't even sure herself. Charmaine and Zayd really are best friends,
because she has a key to her house.
Yes.
And Zayd tells her everything, and Charmaine likewise tells Zayd.
Exactly. And even just the length of time that they've all known each other, which is something that that totally resonates with me, where you have to be straight with these women. You can come at them like, oh, today is a great day, the sun is shining, and they will call you on your BS. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you have friends like that, Candace?
Yeah, I do. I do. I have friends that I've known a long time, and they know what's going on. So
But are they comfortable having difficult
The courageous
conversations?
conversation.
Yes, yes.
yes, they absolutely are. And I want friends like
Yeah,
that. I
exactly.
don't want a lot of yes women around me. So it's that's healthy.
And see, that's what Nash does for Zaid.
Mm-hmm.
There are people, even her best friends at times, they will talk about her to each other, but they don't want to piss her off. And fortunately, Nash doesn't care. Nash was raised with her. That's as close to a sister as he could have. And I just remembering the conversation where he goes off on her because he finds out she cheated, on Corey, and he thinks Corey is the right guy for her, and definitely better than the lame guy. And she is so hurt because he's angry with her. And he literally could not hold back his anger. But he knew that she was feeling that. So later in the day, she had gone to work and she comes home. All the other girls are like, well, that was kind of foul. But they knew she had told them, and Corey overheard the conversation, right? But when Nash goes off on her, it's just like a father, like your dad getting mad at you. And she knows she's wrong, but she doesn't want to, surrender, whatever power she thinks comes with, and she goes down this list of double standards that, if I was a guy, it wouldn't be a big deal. And then Nash basically, reminds her that there are double standards everywhere, in all areas of life for all types of people. And she goes to work and she can't even focus because Nash is mad at her. And when she gets home, he's there. He's at the ranch.
Yep.
And she steps up to him and, trying to talk, and she just starts bawling. And he just hugs her like a baby. He knows she needs him to forgive her. And I just, again, in writing it, I do have that Nash in my life. And oh my gosh, it resonates, and it makes me love my Nash even more because he is that sounding board. He's that person that, we're relatives, we grew up together the same way. And there are times when I'm at a crossroads and I'll need to talk to that guy in my life that doesn't want anything except me to be okay. And that's what Nash stands for her. Yeah.
And I like that Nash, you have a platonic relationship, but his girlfriend LaWan is just kind of envious that if you call, he jumps. And how high does he need to jump?
Right.
It's her whole attitude about it. But I do like you have a lot of humor in there. For example, when I think Corey sends you 12 dozen roses or 10 dozen roses. So Nash takes out 1 dozen to give to LaWan, but he says, but you don't really like roses. And Lane knows to send you lilies because you love lilies. But I love that whole episode with Nash. I was here to receive them, so I'm gonna get some and give them to my lady.
Exactly. And that would be my real Nash as well.
Yeah. But I think that in real life, people aren't used to seeing a man and a woman be platonic friends. They always assume that there was something at some point in time, even if it was just a small kiss. They assume that there were romantic feelings.
Well, and the story implicates that, that there have been times where, you're not quite sure if it's, Nash is feeling Zaid, that's who he wants or has wanted or whatever. But I think what it is more than that is Zaid is the standard that he compares everybody else to. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a hard job. Yeah. But somebody got to do it.
Yeah.
And speaking of high standards, Corey is way up here. And then Carmelo is too. But sometimes they really don't know what you really like. You know, they think that if they give you more, that's what you want. But that's not
money.
More.
Money doesn't
More is
equal.
not necessarily it.
That's it in a nutshell right there. And I think that they got to a point where she realized that all of the capabilities that Corey had to change her life, it was not lost on him. And so somehow he was playing puppet master. I don't know if you recall, but in the second book, the Dreamers had to go back to California for a meeting. And the first time they'd gone out in the first book, red carpet. Red carpet, he rolls out, the red carpet. They got, hotel suites that are just like,
Car
amazing.
service.
Yes, yes. So the second trip out, she's broken up with him, and he's showing her what regular life looks like again. So they end up not even in first class, but in coach. And Charmaine couldn't stand the guy she was sitting by because his feet smell. He takes his shoes off, and she literally ends up on the last seat in the plane just to get away from this guy. But as soon as they get back together, they meet up at his office and they realize, okay, we hadn't seen each other for a while, and they're still crazy about each other. Everything changes. Not only does he arrange to have their luggage picked up at the hotel, he has them come to his house, and all of them get to have access to that lifestyle. And as Charmaine mentions, is
you can get spoiled.
Okay. Oh, and she compares him to the guy from, what is the show? Oh, Young and the Restless. The guy that's I can't remember his name right now. We'll have to cut that. But anyway, she reminds him, Victor Newman. Victor Newman is who it is, and those are the kind of things that men with access to money will do to basically control you. At the end of the day, all they're doing is controlling you. And she loved him. I think she was definitely attracted to him, but she did not ultimately want to be controlled. And
then these are independent women. Even Charmaine, once she hits her big time sugar daddy, she realizes, I don't know if I want all this.
Right. And at the end of the day, we all know nothing is free. Everything costs. It's like how much you want to pay for it, how much are you willing to acquiesce. But I think these are women who are smart enough at the end of the day. They may fight because they are being told something that is what they need to hear. And it's coming from someone they need to hear it from because they'll accept that. But ultimately, they get past it. They get past it and forgive each other, because what you gonna do? Where are you gonna find a friend that you've known since you were a toddler? That loves you through thick and thin, has been there through the death of your parents. You know what I'm saying? And life going up and down. And they have all been there for each other. And comparing my real life relationship of my dreamers, it's beyond beautiful. It really, really is, to have friends that hold you down, and whether we talk every day or not, we just have that synergy that, we grew up together. We were literally raised together. So,
and like in our friendships, you're going to have great times and bad times. And it's just like any relationship, it's just take your bell-shaped curve. And of course, you have more of these moments when you all are really happy together, but you're going to be on each end of the spectrum where you are very unhappy with each other or just bouncing off the wall with joy. So, and I see that with the girls, especially with Charmaine, especially.
Right. What do you think about we talked about Charmaine. What do you think about Peyton? What's your reaction to her as as a friend. She's the warden.
Yeah, she's so solid.
Yeah, she really
She is really solid. And something was happening at the wedding. I forget, but she was getting everybody. No, she was inspecting everybody, just like a warden would do.
Right.
Yeah, she's just very solid.
Yeah.
And that is so my warden. Okay. I remember having like minor, procedure with my doctor, and it was going to be something I had to be off work for a couple of days. So I called my Peyton and I said, it would be really nice if you could maybe fly out and, just hang out the house with me while I'm going through this. And, I'd be comfortable with that. So after I got home, my Peyton pulls out the doctor's list of things to do, proceeds to tape it to the glass in my bathroom. And if I tell you, I felt like I had a new parent.
The warden in her came out.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
We have rules. Oh, rules. I got rules.
Right.
Okay. I can follow rules. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But she was fantastic.
Yeah.
And what about the one who got arrested for the marijuana? She was.
Oh yeah. She was drop the kids off at school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's great. She's great, and that's just a twist of the story, But
that's what I like. You bring in all kinds of elements,
and let's be real, okay? If something like that were to happen, the first thing as a Black woman that you're thinking, first of all, you're living in the suburbs, someplace where you feel like the cops should maybe be somewhat kind or to you, and then you get there and you realize, first of all, it's a Black cop. And he's just as forceful as anybody else. So,
it's the culture. It's the cop culture.
Yes. And, this is something that should be minor, but it gets exacerbated.
Right.
And so she goes to Zaid, and she's like, oh my God, you're not going to believe this is so crazy. And Zaid shares that with Corey.
Right.
And
Corey calls the DA in McKinney, and hey,
right,
she's out.
But in your friendships who you can rely on for what,
Exactly.
Everybody has their own wheelhouse.
Exactly.
The one you can call to get you out of jail. The one that you can call to pray for you.
Right.
Like everybody plays their role. So
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Emma, I have a question for you about just the arc of the men. So I know that you probably don't like Lane as much as you like Corey. Am I right?
You're correct.
Okay. What about Carmelo, the new guy?
I like him. You know what I like about Corey and Carmela, for example, when she was catching a taxi one day, she went off when she was with Lane, she went off and caught the taxi, whereas Corey and Carmela would have been there to make sure she got in the taxi, even pay the taxi fare. But the thing is, make sure she got in there safely. And that's what I like about those guys.
Yes.
Lane needs some more polishing.
Well, technically,
and it's not part of his nature. It's not part of his character.
That's what I was going to say.
That's a short and a long.
Because honestly, as you're out there and you meet people, let's be honest. As a brother, he's a good on paper guy. I mean, everything. He's handsome. He has a great job, and he's connected. Within the industry that they work in, so it's all good.
Lane fits into a want category, whereas Corey and Carmelo are both a want and a need. They fill both categories
on some level.
Okay. but let's just recall when Corey recognized that it's Lane that Zaid cheats with, and he comes to grips with all of that. He buys the company that Lane works at and lays them off. Okay.
Manipulative. A puppeteer, as you said.
Right.
Oh my God.
Corey wants to win.
Exactly.
He wants to win.
Exactly. Yeah. And he, maybe could not, he didn't want to fight with Zaid anymore, but he still just had to get that last little dig in. And, Yeah, that was some Victor
That's
Newman.
what men do
That
all the
was some
time.
Victor
Yeah,
Newman
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yes, absolutely.
Unfortunately, that's what some men do.
So, what do you guys think will happen with as they ride off into the sunset at the end of the last book? What's going to happen with Carmela and Zayd?
Knowing Zayd,
Come
they're
on.
not getting married.
Come on, girl.
I know they're not getting married. I could see them traveling the world together.
That's it. They're going to be traveling the world together.
Yeah, I can see that.
No, it's perfect.
Yeah.
I like that. I think that should
because
be.
he is an international person. He's
Yeah.
lived in France, and so
He's quite similar to Zayd.
Yeah.
So I think they will have a grand time discovering the world.
Absolutely.
Nice. Okay, all right. Any other characters that resonate with you guys?
I can't think of anybody else. I do like how Carmelo approached Zayd. He had been
I do too.
He had been observing her, and she thought he was a player because all these women were around him. But like he said, you have to be immaculate, haircut, great cologne, from head to toe, and because people will pay attention to you. And so he had been studying her, but I like how his business, he said, my garments are made right. These other garments that they're showing and people are looking at, they just have beautiful models up there. But I have a first class product. But he knew everything about Zayd. So, she thought that she was discovering him, but he had looked into her and her background. And if he could do business with her as well.
And I feel like he was kind of watching her over the course of those years that she had Big Dream Threads going and waiting for the right opportunity to connect. And that level of patience, you gotta love it. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I have confidence in myself. If it's meant to be, it'll happen. All I need is the chance to get in front of her. Okay.
He hit the jackpot.
Okay, all right. Ladies, I don't know how to thank you guys enough for joining me today. It has been such a joy. And thank you for supporting me through thick and thin. That means the world to me, and you guys know that.
And we love the book. And you know what? This book is not that long, but it has so much in it. This last book has 150 pages, but it covers so much ground.
It does. It really does. And I think it really, all three books show Zayd at a different place of growth.
Yeah.
The first book, she's just, getting out of a divorce and, trying to figure out what she's going to do with the Lane relationship. Then Corey comes along and she sees another opportunity for happiness, but she isn't going to sleep on that. She's paying attention to it. And as her arc progresses, I see the growth in her as well.
And she realizes that all that glitters is not gold. And Corey has all the trappings, but it comes at a price.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she keeps her independence. And I admire that about all the women in there.
Yes.
They do keep their independence.
Love it. Thank you guys for being here with me
thank you
today.
for inviting us.
I love you guys.
We enjoyed the conversation.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yes, cocktails and conversations. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Au revoir.